As always, we're coming to you live from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. Well, in our top story this morning, the IMF mission chief for Sri Lanka says that the executive board of the International Monetary Fund completed the fourth review under the 48-month extended fund facility arrangement, allowing the authorities to draw about $350 million. Now, this brings the total IMF financial support disbursed so far to about $1.74 billion. He says, quote, "The EFF agreement for Sri Lanka was approved by the Executive Board on the 20th of March 2023 in an amount of SDR 2.286 billion. The program supports Sri Lanka's efforts to durably restore macroeconomic stability by restoring fiscal and debt sustainability while protecting the vulnerable, safeguarding price and financial sector stability, rebuilding external buffers, strengthening governance and reducing corruption vulnerabilities, and enhancing growth-oriented structural reforms," unquote. Meanwhile, Minister of Public Security Anand Vijaypala says that new legislation will be introduced in order to address organised crime as the government moves to repeal the Prevention of Terrorism Act. He explained that at present, organised criminals are detained and interrogated under the provisions of the existing Terrorism Act. However, with the government's recent policy decision to repeal the Act, there is a need for new legal provisions to continue effectively handling such cases. Now, the Ministry of Justice is currently drafting a new bill in order to ensure law enforcement retains the authority to detain and question individuals involved in organised crime under the updated legal frameworks. Now, the Ministry of Digital Economy, meanwhile, has announced that tenders have been called from Indian companies for the development of Sri Lanka's new digital identity card. According to Deputy Minister Therunee Karunaratne, the project will be completed within a 4-month period. India will extend its support in the form of a grant amounting to 10.4 billion rupees to fund this initiative. The new digital ID card is expected to be launched by mid next year. The chairman of the Paddy Marketing Board, Manjula Pinnalanda, meanwhile, says that the board will begin purchasing paddy harvested during the Yalla season starting tomorrow. He says that Nadu rice will be purchased at 120 rupees per kilogram, Samba rice at 125 rupees per kilogram, and Kiri Samba at 132 rupees per kilogram. A total of 6 billion rupees has been allocated for this program under the previous budget. The Paddy Marketing Board of Sri Lanka also noted that the harvesting of Yalla paddy has already commenced in the districts of Ampara, Mullaitivu and Batticaloa. The initial phase of this paddy purchasing process will focus on these districts. Well, we're still in local news. A new set of guidelines has been introduced for the construction of tube wells across the country. Chairman of the National Water Resources Board, RMAS Bandara, stated that this move comes in response to concerns over the unregulated construction of tube wells in various parts of the island in the recent years, which has adversely affected the country's underground water resources. He emphasized that the new measures aim to regulate the process and protect the nation's groundwater reserves from further depletion. The guidelines are expected to ensure more sustainable use of water resources and prevent environmental degradation linked to unplanned water extraction. Now, the Ministry of Health says that 10,591 potential mosquito breeding sites have been identified during inspections that were carried out in the first 2 days of the National Dengue Prevention Week. According to Community Health Specialist Dr. Prashila Samaravira of the National Dengue Control Unit, a total of 48,354 premises were inspected during this particular period. The third day of the National Dengue Prevention Week is currently underway. Health authorities continue to urge the public to take active measures in order to eliminate mosquito breeding grounds, particularly stagnant water sources, as the country faces a rise in dengue cases during the monsoon season. Well, let's move on to the weather forecast for this morning. The Met Department says that several spells of showers will occur in the western, Saparagamuwa and northwestern provinces and in the Nuwara Eliya, Kandy, Galle and Mathura districts. A few showers may occur in the Jaffna and Mannar districts as well. Fairly strong winds of about 30 to 40 kilometers per hour can be expected at times over the western slopes of the central hills and in the northern, north central and northwestern provinces and in the Trincomalee and Hambantota districts. A few showers may occur on the sea areas of the coast extending from Putlam to Mathura via Colombo and Galle. The sea areas of the coast extending from Chilau to Kankasanture via Mannar and from Mathura to Potuvil via Hambantota will be rough at times. The sea areas of the coast extending from Chilau to Mannar via Colombo and Galle and from Kankasanture to Trincomalee via Mullatiu will also be fairly rough at times. Let's now take a look at international news. US President Donald Trump has said that Israel has agreed to, quote-unquote, the necessary conditions to finalize a 60-day ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. During the proposed deal, Trump said in a post on Truth Social, and I quote, "We will work with all parties to end the war," unquote, without detailing what these particular conditions are. Trump added, quote, "The Qataris and Egyptians who have worked very hard to help bring peace will deliver this final proposal. I hope that Hamas takes this deal because it will not get better, it will only get worse," unquote. Israel launched a military campaign in Gaza after Hamas's 7th October 2023 attack on Israel, in which around 1,200 people were killed. At least 56,647 have been killed in Gaza since then, according to the territory's Hamas-run health ministry. It was not immediately clear whether Hamas would accept the conditions of this ceasefire or not. Donald Trump's announcement comes before a meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu scheduled for next week, in which the US president has said he would be very firm. The US president said on Tuesday that he believed Netanyahu wanted to end the hostilities in Gaza. On Tuesday, Israel's Strategic Affairs Minister Ron Dermer was due to meet U.S. Special Envoy to the Middle East Steve Witkoff, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Vice President J.D. Vance in Washington. Israel has said that the conflict will only end when Hamas has been completely dismantled. And Hamas has long called for a permanent truce and a complete Israeli withdrawal from Gaza. Around 50 Israeli hostages are still in Gaza, at least 20 of whom are believed to be alive. Coming up next is sports news. The first one-day international between hosts Sri Lanka and Bangladesh is set to take place today at the R. Premadasa International Cricket Stadium in Colombo. Charit Tasalanka will lead the Sri Lankan side for the series, while Mehdi Hassan Miraz will be the captain of the Bangladesh team. Sri Lanka enters the ODI series with a winning mindset, having recently secured a 1-0 victory in the Test series against Bangladesh. Addressing the media yesterday, Sri Lanka's ODI skipper Charit Tasalanka stated that there is a strong possibility that fast bowler Milan Ratnayaka will be included in the playing 11 for today's match. Out of the 57 ODIs played between the two sides so far, Sri Lanka has won 43 matches, while Bangladesh has recorded 12 victories. 2 matches ended with no result. Today's match is scheduled to begin at 2:30 p.m. Sri Lankan time. Well, that brings to a close this morning's edition of the Breakfast Rundown on TV1. I'm Therunee Karunaratne. Thank you for joining us this morning, and do join us tomorrow as well, same time, same place, for more of the very latest from here at home and around the world. Take care. Have a wonderful day ahead.